What's up, Magnetic Men Club? We are back here on another Friday with you guys. I like the topic today, actually. It's all about choosing your partner wisely, choosing who you choose to marry wisely. I actually got this idea from Alex Hermosa the other day, where he was talking about his wife, Layla, and how she's contributed so much to his success, and that he believes the single greatest decision that you can make in your life is who you decide to marry. And I know some of you guys, we just had Valentine's Day pass. Some of you guys probably made that mistake and decided to propose to the wrong one without qualifying her first. And so that's why we wanted to jump in here and make some content specifically for you guys. I'm Shane.
I just thought about that as soon as you said this prior to the call. I'm like, oh shit, yeah. There's a lot of people that wait till Valentine's Day for whatever reason to propose, and Christmas is the next one, and usually New Year's. Those are the three big ones. And I actually saw that video you're talking about. He just posted it maybe last week. And if you guys don't know who Alex Hermosa is, you can just Google him. He's very dynamic in a lot of different areas. And he's somebody that, as far as our platform School, he owns, or he's a biggest contributor in as an ownership in School.
Right.
And so we follow him, Chase and I, on like a lot of business advice. And now he's starting to tip his toe, I've noticed, into relationships. That's where this one came up. And it is very important. If you have the wrong partner, again, I'm not using just guy, girl. If you're gay and you have the wrong partner, it's just in all relationships. Then you have an anchor, and now you're dealing with your personal life, and they're not helping you in your business. So it's very important to let your partner, whether that be through marriage, whether that be for long-term relationship, live-in, it doesn't matter. And so Chase, I think, is a really good example of this, because him and his wife basically work together. They're computer geeks. I mean, for lack of a better word. She's really good in what she does, and he's really good in what he does.
Yeah.
And they kind of complement each other. So he's going to probably take point a lot of this, because he is married. I'm divorced. I'm not married anymore. Obviously, I do have a girlfriend, but it is a different dynamic. So I'd like you to start on maybe, how did you know Kim? How did you vet her? Let's start with that, Well,
I mean, if I'm being honest, I met my wife back in middle school. So, I mean, there wasn't much vetting. I mean, middle school boy, like, how much vetting is a middle school boy going to do on a girl? I mean, he's got one goal, man. That's really all it is. Yeah. And so he's like, hey, some girl likes me? Freaking sweet, man. I'm going to go after that. I don't want to miss out, And so that's kind of, obviously where everybody's brain starts out. Like, a lot of guys who start out from 12 years old, when they finally hit puberty, to they're 25 years old, they're figuring shit out, man. Like, no guy that age should really be in a relationship. So I just want to preface with that. Like, if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have wanted to spend time a little more playing the field, figuring myself out more, figuring out my values are. That's just not the path that I took, obviously. Yeah. I still got there. It was just a different way. I wouldn't recommend that path for anybody else. I think everybody should get out there and play the field and qualify who you're trying to be with. It worked out for me in my case, but I think it's kind of rare in that sense. I just want to talk about why it's so important to focus on yourself, and why it's so important for you to figure out what your values are. Because my relationship didn't improve until I sat down and started to get intentional with that stuff. Right. And so that's one thing I can tell you is, I've been through the ringer just like anybody else. I haven't had a perfect Mayberry relationship my whole life. It's been rocky, man. There's been ups and downs. There was a whole year where we weren't even together. But we've been married the whole time. We've got 4 kids together. I wouldn't say we're unhappy or anything like that by any means. We had to figure a lot of stuff out. We had a lot of growing up to do. And so that's how I figured out that things worked out for me, because she was on a growth journey and I was on a growth journey. Our values aligned together. We had the same goals. We had kids together. We knew each other's families. We knew each other inside and out. So things for us worked out, right? That's a lot of people don't get lucky like that. That's the thing that I want to say is like, I've seen a lot of other people's relationships, like in this program and other coaching programs that I've been in. I've been through relationship coaching. I've been through life coaching. I've been through hypnosis coaching. I've been through business coaching. I've had sales coaches. Yeah. Every time I need something or I'm lacking something, I get a coach. But what I can tell you is if I hadn't gone through that coaching, I would not be here. I probably would not be with my wife, actually, because there was so much to figure out. And so, like I said, I mean, I don't think that I probably wasted a lot of time. I probably wasted a lot of years running around trying to figure out when I didn't have to do that, right? Yeah. That's what I want to get at. Don't just get with the first girl that you see. So that's kind of what Alex Hormozi explains is like a lot of people get married when they're 18, 19 years old, and they get married to whoever's with them at the time. And think, oh, this is the girl. I found her when I was 18. I'm going to be with her forever. And it's like, you got to adopt an abundance mindset. And it's not just about playing the field. It's about being okay if you're alone, right? Mm-hmm. If you're not okay when you're alone and you feel like you have to have a girl there, you feel like you have to have friends around you, and like you're just not okay with who you are alone, that's going to bleed into every relationship that you have. Like that's the thing that you have to understand. That's going to bleed into your friendships. That's going to bleed into your relationship with your spouse, with your wife, with your partner, whoever they are, right? That stuff's just, it's just going to affect it, right? The better you are at being okay with yourself and the better you are at like looking at yourself and being like, okay, I need to go to the gym. I need to do this. I need to check this off. I need to be responsible for this. I need to provide in the house. I need to create security, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. The problem is if you're not okay with yourself, like you're going to point fingers. You're immediately going to look at her and like, well, you know, I'm working all day. Why aren't the dishes done? I'm working all day and I'm not making enough money. Why don't you go get a job? Mm-hmm. And then like, I'm getting up at 5 a.m. every day and I'm walking 10,000 steps. You're sitting here and you're just getting fatter. What's going on? A lot of guys take that route and it's wrong. Like the problem with that is like, all you're going to do is build resentment. All you're going to do is push her away. You just can't have a healthy relationship acting that way. And I think a lot of guys get in that cycle where they're so focused on what she's doing or not doing that they forget about themselves and their path and their purpose. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, well, the first thing that you said, you know, starting a little bit back with you and Kim being young, you guys actually grew up together, which is a good thing because you both were maturely immature together. And you both kind of had really the biggest thing, which you had shared values. If you don't have shared values, in my opinion, in any relationship, if that's the first thing you don't have, then the whole relationship is kind of
it's doomed.
It's a house of cards because one person values something and the other person values something else. And if you don't even share that, then what else can you share? So you kind of mentioned that you guys were on a growth journey together.
Even getting into that deeper though, it's like, let's say you're going to do something and you don't do it, but integrity is really important to her. Like it's really important to her. It's really important to her to make sure, like, if you say you're going to do something, I rely on you. Like I need to be able to rely on you. If I can't rely on you, I'm not going to feel secure. I'm not going to respect you. Right. You know, if she doesn't respect you, she can't love you. And so it's doomed. Like if you don't share values, and this is the thing that people are not intentional with ever. Like most people out there have no idea what their values are. Mm-hmm. And that's actually something we help you guys with as soon as you get into our school community. So if you really want to get clear on that stuff, we've definitely got tools for you in there. Yeah. Just join the program and it's all free for you at the back end pretty much. That's a free gift to you in there, figuring out, getting clear on your values. It's one of the most crucial first steps when getting into a relationship, because if you get with somebody who doesn't align with your values, you're always going to be fighting. Mm-hmm. You're always going to have arguments. You're never going to agree. You're never going to align. You're never going to be able to choose direction. And you're not going to be able to make decisions because you're always going to be like, well, I like this, but do you like this? Do you like that? Are you okay with this? Are you okay with that? But when your values align, you know for a fact, whatever you're okay with, she's going to be okay with. Whatever she's okay with, you're going to be okay with. Yeah. However, if they don't align and she's got different values from you, you have different values from her, you're going to make different decisions. And you're not always going to agree with what she does. She's not always going to agree with what you do. And it's going to create a lot of tension and arguments.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And guys, also you got to remember, values and goals are two different things. Values is what is driving you, it's part of your character. It's part of that. Your goals can be different. And so you guys should have common goals, but not, your goal doesn't have to be exactly like your partner's. That's just dumb. People say that, like, no, as long as you have the same values. Also,
you don't need to share goals, not at all.
Well, yeah, there's this idea, and you said it, and let me go back just a little bit, because society pushes us in a certain direction, and this is kind of how you end up sort of picking the wrong partner, because okay, graduated high school, now it's time to go to college. Okay, I'm in college, I met somebody. Well, we graduated, we both have goals of getting a career. Now we're living together. What's the next thing? We should probably get married. Well, okay, that's what mom's saying. This is what her parents are saying. Well, let's go get married. Well, what's the next step? Well, we should probably get a house. Okay, let's get a house. Hey, let's get some kids. It's this effect where all of these things boom, 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 boom. And then once you have kids, probably by the time they're 5 or 6, maybe a bit longer, where the stress of a kid or couple kids comes in, bam, guess what happens? I don't know who this person is anymore. And then a divorce usually ensues. And it's all because you didn't really vet, you didn't even have those common values, you didn't even have effective communication skills early on. For guys, it was just like, she's a hot piece of ass and we're having sex and now she lives with me and now she's my wife. Well, that's great, but looks end up fading. What if she's a dickhead? Most girls I've dated are complete dickheads. I mean, they just were. So you have to vet them. And if they're not in line with who you are, yeah, I mean, you can still date them, but it's almost like you're dating them to sport date. And this is not what we're talking about in this channel. If you're trying to date somebody intentionally and they don't align with you, then you need to like, hey, my values, my structure, what I'm doing is completely different than what you're doing. Guys, because we typically have a scarcity mindset, the first girl that likes us, bam, we're there. And we don't really do these things. We don't start asking these questions. And I'm not just saying young. I've coached guys in their 30s and 40s, and they keep falling into the same damn pattern. She's hot. Well, yeah, but she's a bitch. Well, I know, but she's hot. Oh, okay. She shares nothing with you. So the point is, you have to pull yourself out of all of these things and understand what's actually driving you each time. It's these sets of things that you feel you must do. Break free from that and say, I don't need to do shit. I need to be the best person I can be. I need to understand what my core values are. Chase mentioned, if you join our program, there's a whole software program that can help you with that. Once you know who you are, to a degree, then you know what you don't want. And that presents itself when you start dating a woman. Let's just say, for instance, you're a little bit older and the woman's been divorced 4 times and you've never been married. That should be a fucking red flag to you and say, she didn't get it right the first 4 times. What do you think she's going to get it right the 5th time? Probably not.
That's another thing too, is analyzing her actions.
Exactly. Not analyzing anything she says, because most of them, not saying they lie, they have an ideal self and then they have a real self. Guys, we have the same thing. I'm not pointing fingers just at women, but ideally they want this, or ideally they think they have this. Reality is this.
I mean, it's just like a sales call, right? Like, you have to have a series of qualifying questions. Like, what exactly do you expect from somebody, right? Like, if I'm working and I'm going after people like business owners, right, for their marketing, I want to go after business owners who are making at least $30,000 a month.
Sure.
I want to go after business owners who are willing to spend at least $5,000 on their marketing budget. I want to go after business owners that are ready to go right now. I don't want them to wait 3 months. So those are questions I'm going to ask, like, before I even get on the call with them. Like, hey, so what do you make a month, right? Like, do you think you're in a position to start marketing yet? Do you have at least $5,000 set aside per month for your marketing budget? And are you ready to go right now? Or are you looking to wait maybe a few months? I'm going to ask them that stuff before I ever even get on a call with them, because they're just going to waste my time if those things aren't true.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, there's obviously questions you can ask in your initial dating of a woman, or women for men, because a lot of women ask, Well, they do shit tests, and that's their way of kind of initially testing and weeding out the weak men. But the biggest thing you have to understand is if you're one way, if you have values set one way, and this other person, guy, girl, whatever, has a different set of values, and they don't align with each other, you are literally wasting your time. You're wasting each other's time in a way. Well, really, you're wasting your time. She's wasting hers, because you can't really waste somebody else's time. It's pretty much impossible. I've done videos on this, but back to this. So the core values is a good thing. Effective communication. This is another one where, if, like Chase said, but if you're just having a dialogue with somebody, if you're not effectively communicating your boundaries, if you're not effectively communicating your wants, kind of like what your expectations are out of this relationship, and you're just sort of going with the flow, i.e. doing what she wants, you're going to build up resentment down the road. And you should actually be resenting you because you didn't have the balls or the frame to actually say, listen, I don't, this isn't the things I want to do. I'm not going to go this way. Well, she doesn't know that because you didn't express your expectations. And a lot of guys fall in this because she is hot, she is offering sex, and then that's all we care about in the beginning. As you get a little older, guys, I'm 48, I don't really fall into this crap. Pretty isn't a pass to me anymore. I don't care how pretty you are. If you're a dickhead, I'm not interested. So you have to come up with more to the table. As you kind of hear women and guys say, what do you bring to the table? There's got to be other things that a woman brings to your table in order for you to
here's the thing, though.
Seriously.
People will look at that like it's shallow and superficial to a certain extent, but it's really shallow and superficial to be with somebody just because they look good and not worry about how they react to adversity, how they handle like pain and problems. How do they solve it? How are they at home? What do they do in their free time? Like, is she always out getting her hair and nails done? She's not really, like, she's at the mall most of the time spending money. It's like, I don't know, is that something you want to jump into? Because like you're going to be part of that. She's not going to stop doing that stuff just because you're there. Like that's the thing. It's understanding how are you already living, okay? And it's just talk. It's getting to know somebody, just like getting to know any friend. Like a lot of guys overcomplicate this. Like they'll go look up online how to flirt with girls, how to text girls online. They'll jump on YouTube videos, they'll jump on TikToks, and they'll go for hours like trying to figure out how to text them. It's like, dude, just talk to her. Like just ask her questions straight up. What do you do for fun? What do you do in your free time? Where do you work? Like, do you like it? It's just starting to understand that stuff little by little is going to really help you figure out what she spends her time doing, what makes her tick, and whether or not she's going to align with you. Because if you know at any point that you're not going to align and you overlook it just because she looks good,
right,
you're setting yourself up for failure. It's going to be painful, man. I promise you, it's not going to end up the way that you want it to.
Yeah. Yep. And then what you said too, that's kind of a part of like the pickup community. That's kind of gimmicky. That might be the younger version of yourself, or maybe the version of yourself where you're going through a divorce. And I always say, listen, you need to go out and have fun. Don't get locked into another relationship right now.
No, it's all about you. It's all about growing you. Yeah. It has nothing to do with getting out there and dating again.
Yeah. But if you're out actively looking for a life partner, a wife, a husband, whoever's watching this, you want to take it very seriously, because me as a guy, number one, I'm not getting half of my shit taken again. I'm not going through that freaking process. So for me, if I did get married, which is very unlikely, but if I did, I would make sure the person I'm with, the person I'm going to ask to marry me, has been vetted very tough. They know exactly who I am. I know exactly who they are. And it's not going to be a quick process where, 6 months, I better do the right thing and ask her to marry me. Fuck no. If it takes 2 years or 3 years, well, then that's what it's going to take. And if it doesn't happen, a lot of people correlate, well, the relationship failed because it didn't reach marriage. Again, that's a stupid argument too, because a lot of relationships are just fine being in a relationship, living together, being,
well, I mean,
coupled together. It doesn't have to result in marriage.
Yeah.
Because I do know there's a lot of resistance to that, and I'm resistant to it. But that doesn't mean it's a bad relationship. At no point has marriage ever helped a relationship by just getting it. Never helped.
There's not, and kids too. Like, not having a kid's not going to help your relationship.
But a lot of people do that.
Or like you think it is. It's not going to happen. And so here's the thing too. Like, you mentioned something too about how a lot of guys find this like through codependency, right? And they just overlook things and they go, okay, well, I'm okay with this. I'm just gonna go, mow her lawn just to help her out. And like, maybe she'll give me something back later. Okay, I'm just gonna bring her lunch, I'm just gonna go bring her dinner. And then like you start doing that and you're 2 weeks in and she's not responding. She's not giving it back to you. She's not returning anything. It's all one-sided, right? Mm-hmm. I think a lot of guys find themselves in this because they're just so willing to overlook little ticks and little things that she does because they're so excited about the relationship. Like, this girl's paying attention to them and they're just like, dude, like, I wanted to stop. I wanted to keep paying attention to me. So like, I'm just going to do this stuff for her. Then they just sit there and they get pissed off because like, dude, I bought her lunch. I mowed her fucking lawn. She doesn't even want to hang out with me. Like, she won't even like let me take her out. Like, she turned me down on this. She turned me down on that. That's nice guy syndrome. That's where you start to run into codependency and you're like, okay, well, I think a lot of guys find this kind of content through that nice guy syndrome realm too. And they, like I said, most guys fall into that realm. Like, that's how most of them come into this network. Mm-hmm. And so they just don't understand that being a nice guy is really not getting them anywhere. Like, dude, you're not going to push her away. Like, you got to have some balls. You got to have a spine. Like, you got to step up and be like, no, this is how I operate. This is what I do. And if you're not okay with that, you can go. Like, it's not a big, I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. So if you want to stop doing what you're doing, then it's fine. No harm, no foul, dude. I'm going to go do what I'm going to do. And that doesn't mean go date somebody else. That doesn't mean go find somebody else, be vindictive. That doesn't mean threaten her with that either. Like, well, I'm going to hit the road. If you don't pay attention to me, I'm leaving. I'm out of here. It's like, dude, bye. You're gone. Fine. Like, she doesn't care, dude. And so that's the thing. Like, a lot of guys resort to those manipulative tactics, right? And so they'll sit there and like point blame at her and say, okay, well, it's your fault. Like, I'm doing these things for you. You're not giving me anything back. And it's like, dude, you already failed because you shifted focus from yourself.
Right. Well, what you touched on there is interesting because I just did a video on this, and there's only 3 modes a guy can take to get into any relationship with a woman, or if you're gay, I mean, it's really the same freaking mode. It's either you could take the lover route, you can take the provider route, or you could take the friend route. And a lot of guys do, like you said, they kind of go in the friend route. Hey, I'll go mow her lawn. I'll go get her lunch. And if she's like, the easiest way to recognize this is if she doesn't like you, if she's not really into seeing you, and yet you're going out of your way to do things and she's not even appreciative, or she might say, hey, thanks for mowing my lawn, but she's not really into you. When a woman is into you, when a woman likes you, she makes it very easy. She makes it extremely easy for you to have access to her time, take her out on dates. It's very hard. And so what guys do is they assess their situation and they say, you know what, if I go the friend route and I just show her what a good guy, what a nice guy I am, then I can broach the subject of dating. Well, you just come across very insincere, and she probably may have been attracted to you in a sexual manner, or at least a relationship manner. But the problem is you went that route. You told her subconsciously, oh, I guess I thought he liked me that way, but he really just wants to be my friend. So you just put yourself in friend zone. A lot of guys think women do. No, you put yourself in friend zone with the actions. Now, how does this relate to choosing your wife? Well, you just chose a route or a path that isn't going to get the goal of, say, marrying this girl, or even getting into the position of dating her to marry her. You went the friend route. So I never tell guys, don't ever go that route. If she just wants to be friends, never talk to her again. There's no fucking reason you should be her friend. You have the provider route and the lover route. The lover route is only the route for really good looking guys, the Chads, the Tyrones, guys that have a really good mouthpiece. These are good for guys that are one night stand, very high value to a degree on looks. They might be dumb as shit, but they look really good.
He's not even trying to get her, though. That's the thing.
Well, it's just a quick route. It's a sexual route. 98% of men fall in, and I'm in this. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm in the provider route. Now, there's different tiers of provider, but wouldn't it make sense to set yourself up to be the best provider you can? First for you, have your money right, have your health right. If you have kids, be a good father. Have a house or an apartment. Like, have your shit right. You're providing everything you need for you. Then you can provide or have the ability to have provisions for her. And this is what most women are going to look for. It's not so much looks. Now, if you're really good looking and you have a great body and you can provide, well, those are just extra bonuses, because I can show you. Well, I won't show you because that'll piss these guys off. But I know a lot of really ugly, overweight guys that are very good providers, and women can kind of be like, shit, okay, he ticks more boxes than not. I would like him to be a little bit better looking, but looks for a woman isn't what the red pill community say. It's not always about looks. It's not always about money. It's not always about status. It's by being the best provider. Now, having said all this, if you're a good provider, this is why I say, if you're a young man going into college, getting out of college, you should not be dating for marriage. This is your building years. These years, you should be building your career, your business, whatever it is, building yourself up. By the time you hit 28 in your 30s, then you can start looking for that partner that you have or that you want. Women, it's the opposite, because their sexual value generally from 18 to about 28, they have about 10 good years to lock down this high value man or find the best male they can to marry her, obviously have children together and all this. So it does work a little bit opposite of each other. This is why women generally date older men. If she's 21, I highly doubt she's dating a 22-year-old. She's probably dating 28-year-old, 30-year-old. The whole point of this is, if you're in this position and you want to be married or you want to have a long-term relationship, guys, you first need to be the best provider for you. That's really the easiest and best route out of those three roles. Being her friend is going to get you cock blocked. It's going to get you blue balls. Being a lover, well, you better be really good looking. And I'm talking about like Brad Pitt's, like it's like 1% of the population. And it's just sex. Like, we can talk about that, a whole other video on that. It's provider. It sounds boring, and it is. But the higher you go up to being the best provider and the better you take care of yourself, that's where you get the most choice. And then this is when you can talk to a woman and say, hey, I know what the fuck I bring to the table. What do you? If it's just good looks at that point, there's a problem there. Like, I've done all this and you're just pretty? No.
So tell me this, though. Like, do you think that there's some type of correlation between how good of a provider you are and how well your needs are met?
How well the man
help you meet your needs, basically make sure she takes care of things and stuff. I mean, being a good provider inspires her to do more for you, right?
I think the higher the value you are, the more you provide. Not just providing in money, providing provisions in wisdom, provisions in your leadership, providing everything. Yeah. Maybe even providing her access. Maybe you are very high level. Maybe she wants to be an actress. I don't freaking know. And you happen to be a producer. Again, I don't know. It's providing your resources to her. See, these are two things women are going to look for. Number one, does he have resources and are they available to me? I could have a shit ton of money, be really good looking. I might go the lover route and I'm just looking for easy sex. Well, some women will sign up for that because I'm really good looking.
Yeah.
But the ones that want a husband, the ones that want a relationship probably won't, because I'm blocking my access to my resources. I have them, they're just not available to her. So any woman, smart woman, would say, well, why would I give up sex if I don't even have access to any resources? Like that's just dumb. Like people say women are hypergamous. Well, yeah, so are men. Women are just more hypergamous than men, but they have to be. So if I'm a really high value guy, I do have more choice with women, but I also have to vet them even more because I have all these resources. I don't want to just let the first girl who's hot come in and, just because I'm so like, she's such a hot piece of ass. Like, no, is she smart? Does she respect me? Do we share the same core values? Do we communicate effectively? Does she stonewall me? If she's mad, does she give me the silent treatment? Is she emotionally intelligent? The higher the value you have, the higher the value she better be too.
Here's the thing too, and I think like paying attention to her actions is important too. Like you're not going to figure it out in one date, obviously.
No.
Like you might figure some things out in one day. Like you got to have the right questions. You got to come into it prospecting just like you would in sales. Like you got to find the right person. You've got to make sure they tick all the boxes, because if they don't, you're wasting your time.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I jump on a call with somebody who's not making $30,000 a month, who doesn't have the $5K a month budget, right? They're not ready to go right now. I am literally wasting every minute on that call. I could be talking to somebody else who does check those boxes.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're looking at here. It's not really about playing the field or anything like that. It's really just you're trying to qualify people. You've got to talk to enough people to start to understand what you do and don't want out of a partner. First of all, like even to get an idea of the things that do and don't matter to you, which is subjective to you. Like nobody can tell you what you do and don't like. That comes down to looks too. Looks are subjective to you too. Like if you're okay with chubby girls and like you don't want to be with skinny girls, who's to tell you that you have to go after skinny hot models, right? Like if that's what you like, don't take somebody else's definition of what they want in a girl and make it your own. Like you're just setting yourself up for failure, right? So get really super clear on first and foremost who you are and who you want to be. And if you're not there yet, you should not be spending a minute dating. You should be in the gym, getting the body you want. You should be at work, getting the income that you want. And you should have a car. You should have a house. You should have everything all set up. And if you don't have all that stuff, do not waste a minute dating. Like you're just wasting your time.
Right.
And so from there, once you have all that stuff set up, have that stuff going for you, and you absolutely are the best option for her, because if you're not that guy, there are 10 other guys ahead of you who do have all those things, who are better options for her, and she's going to go with them. She's not going with you. It's just that simple. You're just not her best option. If you don't have the body, if you don't have the money, if you haven't been working on your path and your purpose, you don't have any values, you're not taking care of yourself, you are not her best option in any way, shape, or form. Why in the world would she give you the time of day, let alone try to be in a long-term relationship with you? That's what you just got to tell yourself. Okay, until I have those things, I shouldn't focus on dating at all. I should really just focus on me, because that's the problem too, is people who aren't focused on themselves and have a lot of ego in it, they're pointing fingers. Like, no, this is their fault. They didn't do that. They didn't get that done on time. The government made this law. Now this stuff, like inflation is making it so I can't pay for anything. Like, dude, you're pointing fingers. You need to turn it around and look at yourself. What are you doing and what aren't you doing? What do and don't you control? You don't control inflation. You do control how much money you make, right? Just sorting position that you want to be in. Well, now you're ready to date. Now you have to have a list of questions and qualities and values that matter to you so that you can qualify her. You know what you compare her to. And you're trying to date as many women as possible. Don't get with the first one that checks all the boxes.
Right.
Date a few more. Make sure she will come to you because you're the best option. She's not going anywhere else, because every guy who was where you are, like now you're the guy who's making the money. You got the house. You can take her out. You can provide. You're her best option in every way, shape, or form. Now you just need to qualify her to live in that life with you. And then she's going to be the partner who joins you in that business and allows you to shoot straight to the moon. Because without that, like I'll tell you right now, married men make way more money than single men. They do. Like, it's statistically accurate. You can look that up.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being is they have that support and they have somebody they can rely on. If that person isn't the right person, that guy will never be successful. She'll tear him down with him.
Sure.
With her.
Yeah. The other part of that too is once you have all that provisioning power, all that work you've done to yourself, and you are able and willing to provide for her, doesn't mean you have to provide everything for her, but your resources are available to her. That's the big thing the big takeaway on this is you have to have resources and they have to be available to her. If they're not available to her and you're withholding that, you could be a high-level man doing that, but you are going to not have high-level women that want any part of that. You might have beautiful women, but they're not high-level. They're not at your level. They just want to have sex with you, maybe go on trips with you. You might provide that. So it really depends on what dating strategy you want and what your long-term goal is. Look, if you're not interested in marriage, that's fine. If you're not interested in a long-term relationship with somebody, that's fine. If you're only interested in sex, I'm not here to judge. I don't really care either way. What I'm saying is when you get to that level where you are ready to settle down with a woman and be married or whatever that situation is going to be, you better have, like Chase said, you better have a list of criteria to vet her because you just went through hell to get to where you are and you're continuing. Are you going to let just some girl, because she's pretty, just pass everything? Oh, I'm just pretty. That's all you need. No, she's going to bring you down. If all she is going to offer is prettiness, looks fade. If she can't be supportive to you, if she can't be useful to you in some way other than sex, she's going to bring you down. She's going to cause drama. She's going to cause problems in your business relationships. She's going to cause problems maybe in your personal relationships with your parents. Maybe you have an ex, something like that. If she's not even independent, and here's the other thing you have to understand. A lot of women say they're independent, and it's like, yeah, okay, you have a car, you have a house, you're an adult. You're not independent, you're an adult. That's great. I want you independent. I don't want you up my ass. I don't want you so hot that now I'm physically buying everything for you because you're not dependent. Like you don't have a job. Why would you want that as a man? Why would you want a woman to be completely dependent on you? A woman who's 100% dependent on you is kind of dangerous because, for divorce reasons, all this stuff, but she has none of her own goals, none of her own drive, none of her own purpose, and she needs that. She needs separation. Absence does make the heart grow fonder. You can't be up each other's ass all the time. She needs to have her own thing going on. Now, you can support her in that. Maybe you do have the resources and she always wanted to open up a business. You can help her with that if that's something you choose to do and that gave her purpose. And maybe she isn't able to do that without your provisioning. Well, that's a win for you and her. The point is, she can't just be pretty. She can't be a pretty face and have a slamming body, because if that's your only prerequisite, well, then go the lover route and just use the laws of numbers and try to get as much sex as you can. You're better off that way. You're way better off doing that. That's all you care about. If you want somebody who's like a teammate and a supporter, well, then you really need to vet them. And don't let any woman, even if you're in a relationship, don't let her dictate that, well, it's been this long. You haven't asked me to marry you. Well, it's been this long. Fuck you. I determine when I'm asking you to marry you, not you. If you don't like it, you can exit. But I'm not in a position where if ever a woman tells me, well, we've been together this long and nothing's moving forward, what needs to be moved forward? That doesn't make any sense to me.
I think that a lot of people miss this entirely. It's like, if, for one thing, you mentioned that, like, if you're useful to me or not, right?
Yeah.
I think that that's a really important thing too, because, like, I think that can come off as superficial, but at the same time, you have to understand, like, why is there a reason for anybody to get into a relationship together? Whether it's friendship, whether it's partnership, whether it's wife, spouse, whatever, whether it's like boss, coworker, whatever. There's no reason to get into any relationship unless it is mutually beneficial unless we are both useful to each other in some way. Otherwise, dude, I'll pass you by the street, wave at you, nod, bye. Like, there's no reason for us to talk. Why? What's the purpose, right? And so that's the thing. It's like, if you're not useful, there's no purpose to a relationship at all. And then at the same time, if you get into a relationship, if she's dependent on you, there's a problem. If you're dependent on her, there's a problem. If you guys are not okay when you're alone, if you guys can't separate and be okay on your own, you will never have a healthy relationship. It's never going to happen.
Yeah. No, I agree. I want to be used in my friends. I want you and Kim to use me for what I provide. Hey, Jared, we need a video on this. We need this. I need this. I want you to use me. That's not a bad thing. My girlfriend knows how to cook 1,000% better than I ever will. She wants me to use her to make food for me, because if I made food for her, she'll probably die. She's useful to me in that sense, and I don't think that's wrong. I'm useful to her in other sense, in other things. I went down, I don't know, a month or two ago. I don't remember. And she had like an outdated bathroom. My skills, I redid her bathroom. I put new floor down, new toilet. I don't remember if I cleaned it.
That is useful. That's a perfect point to make. I love that point because, like I said, I mean, it's really, you use what you have, your skills and what you bring to the table, to give to them, to make them happy. Right. This is what I got for you, honey. Like, this is like, do you like it? Like, I fixed the toilet, man. I fixed I fixed the power. Whatever you need, right? I fixed the hole in the wall. Like, I mowed the lawn. Cool. Like, that's what I can do for you, right? It's what you bring to the table. Like, you use your skills and what you have and what you're good at to contribute to each other. It's just like our relationship together, right? I'm good at the marketing. I'm good at the posting. I'm good at finding the ideas and figuring out the outlines for everything. I'm good at synthesizing information. Right. You're really good at presenting. You're really good at the coaching, right? You're the guy who does the fulfillment and stuff on that side. So it's mutually beneficial. There's a reason for us to keep working together, right? And it's no different with a spouse. Right. And people get mad when I talk about like relationships and love. They're two different things. Relationships is a construct. I'm in this relationship because you're providing these things. She's in this relationship because you're providing or supposed to provide these. Once one person doesn't provide for the other, it becomes a liability. That's not love. That's a relationship. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that's what the relationship. If Kim, for whatever reason, said, I'm not doing any computer stuff anymore, I'm done. Well, in a sense, she would be useless to us on the computer stuff. We would have to replace her. Right. Right? Doesn't mean we're not ever going to use it. Somebody's got to do it. I don't have time for it. You don't have time. Somebody's got to do it. So you have to replace him, right? If your girlfriend is just pretty, that's all she is. That's all she brings to the table. You have to outsource everything else. Support from somebody else. You have to outsource. Maybe you start demanding more respect from your employees because she's not respecting you. It becomes a drain. You're outsourcing everything. Like, let's say you're out working all the time. Like, you're working 40 hours a week, or maybe you're an entrepreneur and it takes even more of your time. And like, you're not getting home until 8 p.m. sometimes. And it's like, okay, you don't cook. She hates cooking, doesn't like cooking, just can't do it. Doesn't like cleaning. She's home. She's there when you get there. And it's like, hey, well, I mean, you want to hit up Jack in the Box again for the third time this week? Mm-hmm. And it's like, dude, is that healthy? Is that going to make you feel good? You guys are both going to be feeling like shit within a week because, like, that's shit food. It's just going to make you feel like shit. Yeah. And so the other useful to each other in that scenario. Yeah. And the other part of this, too, is even if your girlfriend isn't good at cooking, adaptability, will she learn? Is she like, maybe she's been in relationships where she never had to cook. Maybe for whatever reason, that's just not something she had to do. And now she's in this new relationship. If they're willing to adapt to this new relationship, that's a good sign. Also for men, you have to adapt into this new relationship. Maybe, again,
she lives 5 states away from me. Is it an ideal relationship? Not really, because we're not always together. But when we do get together, we do make the best of that time. It's adaptability. We become adapted to this. Now, again, that might not be something that in the future she wants or I want, and then we're in that position in a healthy relationship to communicate that. The point is, you need to have more. And I always say pretty isn't a pass, because I see so many guys that have a good looking girlfriend or a good looking wife, but they bitch about her all the time. And again, guys just bitch too. I understand it. She probably bitches, but I'm saying, like, on just locker room talk, it's like, oh, she hasn't cooked in months. We haven't had sex in months. Well, okay. And this is where I start getting into the coaching with people. I'm like, you didn't vet her then, because she was always like this. You've accepted it, thinking you can change her. You can't change her. She can't change you. And then this is what happens. As you get older, you start getting into this situation where this person was always like this. You're just now realizing it because you never asked the right questions. You never really looked past her beauty.
Or you looked past those things too. Just right. You ignored them for the fact that, like, okay, she's pretty. It'll probably get better. It'll change as we go through this.
Yeah.
But it won't. She's going to keep doing the same thing she's always done.
Yeah.
That's what people do.
You gotta go through those steps. The very first thing is, you always want to be your best provider. And then, of course, you always want to enter in all relationships. It could be just me and Chase, me and Kim, me and Kissy, my girlfriend. They have to be win-win for both sides. As soon as you play this power dynamics in relationships, women do this a lot. And I got some videos dropping on this, but men do it too. But women do this a lot, where in any relationship, in reality, women generally always have more power for the long term in a relationship. And some of them overuse their power, and then they create dysfunction where there isn't one. That's a lack of respect on the partner. That's a lack of frame control on the guy. We'll get into all that later. But the point is, you want win-win relationships. My girlfriend's really good at cooking. I'm really good at fixing shit. Well, there's a win-win. If something ever breaks, I'm able to fix it. I'm not going to bitch and hem and haw about it. That's my job. If she wants me to cook for her, well, I'm not bad at cooking, but she's better and she's faster at it. She's going to be like, fuck, I'll just cook. Like, you take too long. You use way too many goddamn pans. Let me just make the damn thing. Whatever it is, you know. The point is, all relationships you want is a win-win. And if you're in a current relationship right now where it's a lose-win, lose-lose, you got to reevaluate that and say, okay, can I make this a win-win? If not, you're better off exiting the relationship.
Well, the thing is, too, is I guarantee you've been frustrated and miserable in that relationship for a long time. I promise you, you're not feeling satisfied. You're not feeling adequate. You've been looking for reasons to exit or ways to fix it or whatever. You've been complaining at her, or maybe you're even spending more time away from the home now because, like, you just don't want to deal with it anymore. And so that happens. Like, guys will work even more. They'll stay out of the house. They'll try and do more things away because they're just, I don't want to deal with her anymore, man. This sucks. And so what would you lose by letting that go? Like, what would you really lose by being like, I'm done with this. Like, I know I could find a better relationship. I know I would be happier somewhere else. And it's like, okay, well, how much longer do you want to be miserable? How much longer do you want to live like this? Because I promise you that if you don't change anything, you're going to be here next year. You're going to be here the year after. You're going to be here 5 years from now. If I told you you're going to be in the same position 5 years from now, does that scare you? Because if that scares you, you've got some changes to make. And at the same time, like, that's the first one. It's like, maybe you're in a relationship where she's taking all your energy from you. Like, she's just constantly nagging at you, constantly bitching at you, constantly nitpicking, right? Like, you're not doing this and you're not doing that. You're not even a man. It's like they start going down that track, right? And it's like you just feel even more and more and more like crap. And like, she's sucking the energy out of you. And like, you don't even have the energy to try and start a side hustle, make extra money, go to the gym, get all the stuff done in the house, and like she's bitching at you because you're lazy as hell. And it's like, dude, you're sucking the life out of me.
Yeah.
And I've seen that so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's not good for either, you know. At some point, you guys were in love. Now you talk about the back end now. You know,
true. Yeah, there's something got you there. Yeah.
The best way is to never get yourself into this position, but you are in this position at some point. You know, you were in love, and most of the time, you probably still love the person. There's love there. It's respect. It's loss of frame control. It's loss of probably vetting. Maybe this happened. Maybe you guys were high school sweethearts. Maybe you met in college and you had an awesome love story in college, but then reality started hitting, and the society again is telling you, well, you guys should probably get married. Neither one of you probably wanted to, but you felt that you had to. Well, now we need a house. Now there's a pressure of student loans, mortgage debt, the marriage. Oh, we need another car. Like this just happens. It just happens.
Well, it's like, yeah, I'm not making enough money because I haven't gone to college. I don't have any skills. Now you got to go to work, and like she's working, you're working.
Yeah, it's pressure. All relationships are work. They're hard work. It doesn't. You can throw marriage in front of it, but again, just by getting married doesn't make anything easier. It makes things stickier, not easier. Sticky because now you have to. If you get through a divorce, you have to unwind stuff. It's a contract. Relationship isn't a contract. It's just, hey, we're living together. You do this, I do that. But it's still hard work. So the best advice is if you're younger watching this in college, or maybe you haven't even been married yet, get your own shit together. First, clean your own house. Get your money right. Get all that right. So that you know what you're bringing to the table, and then maybe you do need to, like Chase said, date around a little bit. Don't just latch onto the first pretty face that finds you attractive. You want to date around a little bit and see what you like, see what you don't like. Women.
The thing is too, is like all women, like I'm not saying all women are the same, but any relationship you end up in is going to feel sort of the same. Like you're not going to be missing out on anything that this girl had that this girl doesn't have. And it's like, yeah, I mean, dude, you can play the field. I promise you, if you end up with this girl, you cool. You end up with this girl, cool. If she checks the boxes, you end up with this one, cool. Like she checks the boxes. Like it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
There's no such thing as the one. There's no such thing as twin flames. I promise you, if you look at it that way, you're going to be miserable in your relationship. It's just, it doesn't exist. It's just work. It doesn't matter who you end up with. She has to work. You have to work. There's certain things you both have to put into it. And if one of you is not putting it in, it's dysfunctional and you got to get out of it and realize, okay, I'm happy in this. She does this, she does that. Okay, write those down. Make sure the next girl has those qualities.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first one, and she knows this. She's probably watching this. But when we first started dating, I was dating 4 other girls. Did she know their names? No. But did she know, like, yeah. And she brought this up, like how pissed she was. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. You're number one now. Like, you beat them all out. What is your problem? Like, literally, what is your problem? I'm not dating them anymore. I'm only dating you.
They want a guy that
I look at it as like I vetted you. Like, listen, out of all those girls I was dating, you had more of the qualities I was looking for, and now I'm dating you. Why do you know? I'm like, to me, it makes no sense. To me, this is, as a guy, this is what you should do. Like, you should be dating until most women are going to detonate themselves, and they all detonated themselves. I'm like, oh, well, cool.
Well, here's the thing, there. I think this happens on both sides. Like, if you don't feel proud walking around with the girl that you're with,
right?
Yeah, dude, you got to get out of that immediately. That's not fair to her, and that's not fair to you.
No.
And then on this side too, it's like if she's not proud to be with you, like she wants to be with a guy who has options. Like she really wants to be with a guy who could easily just go get another girl. It's no problem.
Absolutely.
She's proud of that.
Yep. Yep.
Whether she's proud of that. She's proud that she won. She's the girl. She's the one. And you could go get anybody else, but you're with her.
Right.
That's helpful.
And guys detonate themselves more. Guys always detonate themselves. Like, I always banter with my girlfriend. She's like, oh, I'll go find somebody else. Cool. I know you're not going to get like you might find somebody better looking than me. You might find somebody who has more money than me, but as a whole, the package, it's not going to happen. It's just not. And so I come from the frame of they might have the full package, but maybe they're socially retarded. Like they don't know how to talk. Like who knows? There's going to be something that's going to be like, oh shit. So I'm always like the open gate. Go ahead, cool, do it. It's not going to happen. And when I come from that detached thing, to me, I'm feel closer to her because it's like, listen, I'm with you. I'm choosing to be with you. You're choosing to be with me. What is the problem? Like, don't pull all this other stuff on. I vetted you. At this point, you are, you have more good qualities than bad. And obviously I have more good qualities than bad. Otherwise you wouldn't be dating me. Now you can come from that position. Okay, we're in a relationship. Does it have to go any further? Well, no. Can it? Absolutely. But just enjoy the relationship. Don't keep pushing for shit that you're not ready to do at this point. That's the biggest takeaway with guys, because they do get this from their women. Like, we've been dating 3 years and you haven't asked me to marry you. That's not your concern. I control the relationship, i.e., do you want to get married? You control everything else. Just be happy that you're in a healthy relationship, if it is healthy, because I promise you, adding the title of wife or husband is not going to make it easier. Not going to make it better. It's just going to make it
just paperwork, man. That's all it is. Paperwork and saving money on taxes. Like, why does anybody?
Yeah. But there's this construct we always have on the next step are these things. It doesn't have to be. Now, one party might want those, and that's goals. It's not values, it's goals.
I think that's a question of like, why do you want to be married? Like, why does it matter to you? Like, what exactly is it inside of your brain that keeps bringing this up? Like, why
a lot of it is parents, like their parents. Like my girlfriend, she wants to be married. And I really talk about this because she's never been married. I've been married. Her parents have a great relationship. I get it. Like, that's what you saw. I understand. So I understand the dynamic, and that's something her and I at some point are going to have to like figure out or agree to disagree. And right now it's more agree to disagree, but we're not hung up about it. Like, we're not like, she's not at the point, well, if we don't ever get married, then we're done, because she knows the result of that. I'm be like, okay, good talking to you.
Sorry.
Like, I'm not going to be a dick about it. It's just like, okay, fine. So have your own frame on where you want to go in your life. Be the type of person who, if you want to provide, have that provisioning and you're willing to provide, find a woman or a man, if you're gay, I don't know who was watching this, who's compatible enough with you. Are they always going to be 100% compatible? Well, no, you don't want that either. But you want to have as many traits and as many values that you have in line with them. If you can have that, you will have a good relationship, irregardless if it ever results in marriage. Okay? You're just talking about having a fantastic, awesome relationship with somebody. And that's rare, guys. That's rare. Most relationships are highly fucking dysfunctional. And there's this need. It's almost like they don't want to be together, but they're tied together, whether it's through maybe financial, they both maybe got an apartment together or a house together. It's all this weird shit. And what I want for like my girlfriend is I want to choose her every day, and I want her to choose me. That's it. If I get to a point where I'm like, fuck.
You know what, though?
I don't want that. Like, if I have to feel like I have to do these things, then I would end the relationship.
You made a really good point, though, like where a lot of people kind of get trapped in these relationships. We're like, okay, well, we have a car together. We bought a car together. We bought a house together, or we got a dog together, something like that. Maybe they have kids or something like that, too. And it's like, okay, well, you want to stay together because you have that. Can you live without the car? Like, can you guys share the dog? Like, I don't know, man. Like, all I know is you're not happy. You're telling me you're not happy. You're telling me you're probably never going to be happy in this situation. And so you're only sticking around because of the car, because of the dog. Like, does that make sense for your long-term happiness? Like, do you really want to sit in this situation where you're miserable and you feel de-energized all day, every day, and you're not achieving anything you want to, and really the life that you want is just in the distance and it's always there, and you're always looking at it like, oh, hey, I'm just living my life over here, whatever it is.
The only
because I have a car, I have a dog.
I agree with all that. The only caveat I would say with that is because you asked, well, because you have kids together, or married and have kids.
Right.
And yes, you're right for happiness. You've given that up. Now you have a duty to raise those kids. I don't give a shit if you guys are unhappy or not. You stay in that marriage until they're 18. And
entirely. Yeah. You have to take care of your kids. You're responsible for your kids. You take care of your kids. That's without a doubt, number one. But the thing is like, okay, well, what do you do about all the other things? Like, okay, we got a dog together. We got a house together. We got a car together. And it's like, okay, well, you're holding on to that. You realize that, right? Like, you got to let it go. You got to realize, okay, I'd be okay if I didn't have that car anymore. If I had to go return it, okay, if I had to sell the house, we had to split the money, whatever.
Those are just
you're attached to that. You're attached to the outcome. You're attached to the things. And you're like, okay, I'm going to be miserable in my life because I'm too attached to these things. Right. It's like, okay, well, I'll tell you right now, if you could build up that courage and make that life that you really want, like, you have to get there. There's no other way. Okay, I got to let all this shit go. I've got to take the car back. I've got to have the hard conversation with her. We've got to leave. That's the only way my life moves forward. Otherwise, I'm stuck here and I'm just attached to this lifestyle. It's okay. Well, now the car's gone and now the dog's dead, and it's like 16 years later, and you're like, okay, well, now what do I do? And it's like, fuck, man, like. And you're still living the same life 10 years later just because you had a car or a dog together. It's like, dude, you got to face it, and you got to have courage to get out of your situation and realize if you can't focus on yourself because you're stuck in this situation because you're attached to those things,
right?
You got to let it go. You got to have courage. You got to remove yourself from the situation because I promise you it's never going to change.
Right. No. It's a good one today. We could go on forever because we haven't even gotten into attachment theory and why this happens. I could go on this, but the end result is, like you said, like, there's about 10 core tenements that you guys should have. I'm going to do a video specifically to piggyback on this. Really what you should be looking for in your mate. But the very first one is that core values. If you guys don't have a blueprint of core values together, then really none of this else matters. Like, you're going to be talking two different languages. Neither one of you guys are going to understand each other. And eventually, like you said, sex fades, beauty fades, all of that stuff. Listen, my girlfriend's gorgeous, but at some point, it's going to fade. She has way more better qualities than just her looks. And so for me, I'm like, as a business, because relationships in a sense is a business, like, she's a keeper in my book because there's more shit she brings to the table than somebody who is just pretty, because again, that fades. Same thing with me. I bring more stuff to the table. And that's what you want, is you want that win-win scenario on all relationships. Chase and Candy and I, we have a win-win relationship. It's win-win.
Yep.
If I was just taking from them, we wouldn't have a relationship. They'd be like, well, we don't need him.
Well, I love to jump into businesses and be like, no, I'm the idea guy. Like, I'm the guy with the ideas. Like, you just take my ideas and go implement them and you'll make money. It's cool. Yeah. That's what I bring to the table. Ideas. And I've met a lot of people just like that, man. And that's just what it is. And it's like, a lot of people will inflate their value because, like, they're more valuable to themselves than they are. Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, the only thing here that you really need to do is look at yourself. Just turn it around and say, okay, who am I? Am I the person that I need to be in this relationship? Am I the person that I need to be for me? And would I even be okay alone? And am I living to the core values that matter to me? And am I protecting my boundaries? Do I feel like I'm getting an equal amount back out of this? Because if any of those things are not true, you got to look at it closer, for sure. You got to maybe look at leaving and starting something else, for sure.
Right. Yep.
But that's what we got today. Yep.
That's all we got, man. And we went a little bit over, but not too much. I appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, we'll be back here next Friday with another live. Chase, have an amazing weekend. Thanks for spending this hour with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you guys. As always, make sure You guys get into our school community. We still have some founding memberships available there for you guys. They're only $7 a month for life. That price is probably going to go up to $100 a month. So make sure you get in there while supplies last and get all those freebies in there. Like I said, there's a link in there that you guys have that will take you right to get your core values done, get all that stuff sorted out, and get you guys right on this path, just like we talked about.
Perfect. Thanks, man.